Hello again, everybody, and I hope you have got with you today your survey. So this is something I've mentioned in the last few lessons and we've been building up towards for the last few maths lessons. And we are hoping today to really become top statisticians. It's our statistics unit at the moment, and I have been asking you, alongside all of your learning, to create a survey. So I'm hopeful this is something you have already been making. Don't worry if not, though. It's completely not the end of the world, and we can help you out with a little survey in a moment. But hopefully you've got one of your own, you've got some respondents. We thought a little bit yesterday about what makes a good question, and hopefully you've got something a little bit like this where you've got a tally chart with your findings. Now today we are going to be turning that into lots of different charts and graphs, and we're going to present this in really as many different ways as we possibly can. And I'd love for you to display this as a bit of a poster. So you are going to have your data, this is your survey results, and you're going to present that in lots of different ways. So really, you've already got one way, haven't you? You've already got your tally chart. Now, I'm really confident you've got one of your own already, but just in case you don't, let's give you some data to use. So if you don't have your own data, completely fine, that's okay. You can use the data that I'm just going to fill in here. So if you haven't got data of your own, you're very welcome just to use what's here and use it. So I can't quite get to the bottom there, but I'm sure you'll be able to make that out. Lovely. So if you haven't got data of your own, you can use the table here. And what I'd like you to do today is I'd like you to present this in all kinds of different ways. I would like you to make a fantastic tally chart. I'd like you to make a brilliant pictogram, and that's where we use a particular symbol to represent our data. Now, when you're doing your pictogram, try to be adventurous with this, by which I mean, let's not go for a key where one symbol equals one thing. Maybe you can do symbols of two. Maybe if you've noticed actually that your data works really nicely, if maybe you've noticed all of your data, for example, is a multiple of 3, maybe you could have your key being 3. If you've noticed that all of your data is a multiple of 5, you could have 5, for example. I would say probably a good one to say would be having one symbol is equal to 2, but it's up to you, it's your data and you can present it how you wish. Think carefully about what your symbol is going to be. Maybe for this one, as we're talking about drinks, maybe like a straw or a drinks bottle, that might be a cool symbol for your pictogram. I would definitely love to see some bar charts. We've worked on these earlier in the week. Now, the ones that we looked at, sorry, the ones that we drew earlier in the week were predominantly going up in ones. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Now, we came up with some good top tips. We said we're definitely going to use a ruler. We're going to write our numbers on them on the line and not in the middle of the cube or in the middle of the square. Square, definitely square, sorry. Line up the cubes, it's because I've got it written there. You line up your bar chart with the right line on your bar. And we're definitely going to want to use labels as well. So by labels, I mean you're going to label your y-axes, maybe with numbers. You're going to label your x-axes with whatever your options were. And we're going to have a nice title as well. Now, just before we start on this, I wanted just to sort of give you a few little thoughts on bar charts, because particularly if you've got a lot of survey results, you might find that your bar chart would end up off the page. So let's look at what we could do instead. What's different about this chart then? Now, we looked at a few of these in Wednesday's lesson, I think, but I didn't really explicitly talk about it. What's different about this bar chart? Have a look at that y-axis. Remember, y to the sky, so y is the one going up. It's going up not in ones, but in twos. So rather than 1, 2, 3 on every line, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8. It's going up in multiples of 2. Now that's really useful, isn't it? Because it means that it doesn't take up quite so much room. Now, even if on some of these, it means we actually end up in between the lines, we can still read it. So let's look at this blue one, for example. That falls between 2 and 4. So we know it's more than 2, but not yet reaching 4. So what's that blue one showing? It's 3, isn't it? What have we got for these other ones? Say them out loud. Green is, that's right, 1. Red is 11. And yellow here is 7. Fantastic. Can I accurately read it like this? So I've chosen now not to go up in 2s, but to go up in 5s. Can I accurately read the bars here? Well, it's tricky, isn't it? I would say we can probably get a decent reading. I can probably have a good guess, but it might well involve a bit of guessing. So if I look at this blue one, for example, I know it's between 25 and 30. Is that 26? Is it 27? Is it 28? It's a little bit less clear. When we had multiples of 2 here, I know if it's between 2 and 4, it's got to be 3 really, isn't it? Unless there's 3.5 people, which obviously there isn't. So here, it's a bit harder. So it's best where we can avoid it, not to be going up in multiples that are too big. I would say going up in multiples of 2 for your bar chart is probably plenty. Similarly, could I have a chart like this? Have a look. What do you notice about that y-axis? Is it going up in the same amount each time? No, it's not. I start off going up in 1s, 1, 2, 3, and then I sort of randomly jumps up to 10, so it's gone up 7 there, and then it goes up 5 and 5 again. I would say this one's a bit of a mess, really. And although it gives me sort of quite nice, neat lines here, it doesn't actually represent what we're seeing. Now, green is showing 10, blue is showing 20, but green is much more than half of the blue one there, and that's not right. We're getting a very inaccurate picture there. So we don't like that bar chart at all. I don't like the fact that this is 3 and that's 20 and it's half the size. That shouldn't be right. So we don't want anything like that. If you are going to choose to go up in, for example, 2s, it needs to be going up in 2s on every single one. We can't just make it up as we go along. There's a couple of questions I'd like you to pause on here, just have a quick practice of before we go any further. So this will just cue you into this idea of having different amounts for our bar chart. So pause the video for these ones, have a quick go, have a quick chat about them, and come back when you're done. Okay, so how many children had blue or green eyes altogether? So let's count up blue and green. Oh, it's a bit confusing that the hazel line is blue there, isn't it? But this is the blue one. So blue. Blue is 8, green is 4, so we need 8 plus 4, that's 12. How many more children had brown eyes than green eyes? Well, again, let's have a look at the brown eyes line, that's 12. Let's have a look at the green eyes line, that's 4. So we could do a subtraction calculation now, we could do 12 take away 4, or I could count up our kind of missing steps here. I could go 2, 4, 6, 8. Either way, 8 is our answer. How many children were there in total? Well, let's add it up. We've got 8 plus 12. Well, that adds up quite nicely. That's 20. Plus 4, that's 24. Plus 10, it's 34. Here's another question for you to think about. And I want you to say whether you think Lauren is right or whether Zach is right. Lauren says 6 more ice creams were sold on Sunday than on Thursday. Zach says, in total, 6 ice creams were sold on Thursday and Friday. Pause the video, work out who is right. Okay, so Lauren says 6 more ice creams were sold on Sunday than on Thursday. Well, let's have a look. Sunday was 10, Thursday was 4, so that is 6 more. She's right. Zach says in total 6 ice creams were sold on Thursday and Friday. Well, that's not correct because it's 4 plus 8, which is 12, so Zach's not right. Okay, so give this your best go then. I'd like to see some super bar charts for your survey. I'd like to see some pictograms for your survey. I'd like to see some tally charts and tables for your survey. And if you're feeling adventurous, this is completely optional, but if you're feeling adventurous, you might like to have a look at a pie chart. Now, I should just put a health warning on this. A pie chart is not actually in the curriculum until I think year 6, so you don't have to do a pie chart, but might be something you like to sort of push yourself with. A pie chart is another really good way of representing data. I like a pie chart because firstly, they remind me of pies, delicious. Secondly, I think they're a really good visual representation. So I'm looking at this one on pet ownership, and it's really clear to me straight away that dogs are the most owned pet. I can really see that chunk of the pie. It's called a pie chart because each section is like a little cutout of pie, or if you prefer, you could think of this as like a cake chart. So you can see there's a tiny little portion for rodents. Who's got a rodent as a pet? There's a tiny little portion for rabbits there. There's a little bit there for fish. There's quite a big chunk for cats. And then dogs is a massive section of that pie. Now, if you're interested in making a pie chart of your own, I've put a little link in the description box today where you can see the following website. Oh, I better just change that, sorry. You can see the following website. Here we go. And this is a nice sort of simple way to help you create your own pie chart. So I've got one filled in, I'll be able to show you. So you click on the design bit and we want probably just plain color and normal. You can mess around with some of this if you want. You can change to 3D, you can change some of the background options, but we'll keep it simple for the purposes of this. You go into data and you write a number of slices is how many options you have. So if you were doing fizzy drinks and you had 4 fizzy drinks to choose from, you want 4. In slice details, you write in your different options. So mine were Portsmouth, Southampton, Bournemouth and Brighton. You can go to, I don't think there's too much we need to fill in labels apart from graph title. Now mine is favourite South Coast Football Club. And then you can go to display and then it makes for you a really nice little pie chart. So again, it's a really clear visual representation. So of all the people that I asked, here were the results. Hey, I don't make these things up, you know, this is just the people have spoken. And you can see the results there. So if you'd like to have a go at that, you can do that. Might be a little sort of nice extra for you if you're interested. If you're feeling really, really on it, you might even have a think about some percentages if you're really wanting to push yourself, but no stretch. Okay, well done, everybody. I hope your survey posters turn out well, and I look forward to seeing them. Have a lovely rest of the morning, and I'll see you back here for our final session of the week.